Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship, and this is I think it's the third video of the day. So this is the second video I'm cranking out about velocity banking before I go to sleep. Oh my goodness! All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Velocity banking, talk about swimming in cash flow, and possibly paying me money and joining the velocity banking cult, whatever that means. So let's go ahead and get started. So, what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt with the help of something called a line of credit. And we're going to do something a little bit different. Okay. We're going to do something with Airbnbs, right? Airbnbs. Now, let's assume that we make pretty good money, $8,700, and we decided that we're going to buy an Airbnb property. Okay. Property for Airbnb. And you won't even believe this. I was watching so many Airbnb is crashing videos, Airbnb bust, Airbnb is crashing, hosts are panicking right now. Airbnb is crashing, host panic, and I just decided to start an Airbnb. I don't even know why. I was like watching this, is like, is this happening? Okay, I'll start an Airbnb. Shows you what an idiot I am. But I was just watching those, and then it's funny because once I started the Airbnb in my single family home in a, I guess you would call it farm, in a farmland, because I think it's technically in a rural area. I'm expected to make 5 grand on July, 4 grand in August, and one family booked 13 grand or 12.9 grand after all Airbnb fees have been taken out. And I was like, interesting. Is this what a crash looks like? Anyways, how does this relate to swimming cash flow? Because I was just thinking, man, if I had just done this, this would have been a lot better than just doing a regular rental on a single family home, which I did do, or I did do that, and this was my one of my first rental checks, which is 14 grand from a tenant, and then the tenant sent me a text message, "Thank you so much, we appreciate you," and this was in 2023, not in 2024. I think this was the tenant's second check, and again, you have all this money, and they'll create cash flow, and you pay off your debt. And so let's assume that maybe. And here's the thing: would I recommend doing any sort of rental real estate um, when you're at a point like when you really, really need the money? Probably not, because it's really hard to cash flow, especially with long term rentals. And then short term rentals, you got to kind of put up the capital to kind of furnish the place and possibly hire a designer and possibly hire a contractor if they want to make it more pretty and beautiful, beautiful. Anyways, but let's just assume this. Let's assume that we're making in our personal income $8,700 a month. And then we got some debt, car loans, student loans, we got a personal mortgage. And then they say, hey, let's buy an Airbnb, $200,000 at 8%. Because what's the number one rule of real estate? You gotta buy it at a discount. You see something like this, okay? You see how I bought this at the peak of the market at 2022 when everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, the world's gonna end. I need to buy a home," right? So I was like, "All right, cool. I'll buy a home. $100,000 discount from the market value." And then, I made it into a rental. And then now I said, "All right, I'm going to turn it into an Airbnb." And maybe we do something like that. And here's the thing, maybe we go crazy, okay? Because we're like, we're going to have the best Airbnbs in that market, right? Now, here's the thing. If I look at like Joshua Tree National Park in San Bernardino, and you actually go to the San Bernardino County website, I should do STR registration, San Bernardino County, because this is where Joshua Tree is. Um, they have what I call the pimple map. Okay. And what is the pimple map? Basically, let me see if I could find it here. Yeah, let me just do this. Hold on. Oh, short term locator. Okay. So let me go in here. And the reason I call this the pimple map is because look how many short term rentals there are in the Joshua Tree area. This is like insane. So when I saw this, I was like, I would be like, I ain't doing it. And again, maybe the supply meets the demand, but I was like, in my area, I was like, I'm the only. well, I'm not the only one, but I'm like, I'm gonna be the one that stands out, right? I'm gonna be the one that stands out. So I decided to go all in. And hey, maybe you might go crazy and all in for I don't know, how much is this? 119,000, 15, 27, 30, 35, 35, and 12. And then once you didn't have credit card debt and then you go all in, right? So that's $119,000 of credit card debt going all in. And look at now you're at negative 3,000, but don't worry, we haven't factored in your Airbnb income yet. And we also already have Airbnb expenses. Is it $1,500 a month on average? I actually don't know, but let's see how this works out. Okay. Now, given that I'm making about, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000 revenue a month, and this doesn't even count Verbo, right? Maybe Verbo might give you some bookings. And this is a single family home where I was making like 2050 a month. 2050 a month. Oh my goodness. Anyways, all right. So, what am I even talking about? Let's see. All right. So let's assume that we make about, I don't know, 4,300 a month in Airbnb income. Okay. Let me actually do this. B2 plus B3. All right, so that means that we have positive $574.81 in savings. So let me go ahead and do this, copy the same income, copy the same expenses, right? Expenses, and then we're not going to save money when we do velocity banking. And what we're also going to assume, okay, is that we have access to a line of credit. Now, here's the secret about getting lines of credit. You got to get as much as possible. Okay, much as possible. But the secret to getting it is that banks don't lend money to people who need it. Okay, and I'm speaking as a person who has over $711,000 in lines of credit. 711,000. Look at all this. Oodles and oodles of lines of credit because I know the secret, which is banks don't lend money to people who need it. So if you need money, the bank ain't going to give it to you. And you might be asking, what's a line of credit? Well, all it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So this is my $373,500 home equity line of credit. And I actually had a 280,000. So what does it mean? It means you can click a button on the bank's website and then dump up to $373,500 into your checking account. Okay. And so that's a tool we'll have access to. And if we take a look at this right here, so let's say we actually did spend 119, was it 119? 112. I can't remember. Let me do it again because it's, oh, I'm so sleepy. But all right. $119,000 furnishing and setting up our Airbnb, which is an insane amount if you think about it. But this is okay. We got a $100,000 discount on the house. Guess what happens here? Oh my goodness. 00000, right? And so now we're at a $4,000 cash flow from $574.81, along with all these loans. So let's go ahead and get rid of this right here. All right. So now it's going to be G2 plus H2 minus 4414.81. Okay. And then and that's not bad because you have an additional mortgage right here that which you're technically building equity off of for with each payment, even though it's very little equity in the first couple of years. 0.085 divide by 12, and then oh, is this? Let me see this. Why do I have 3 cents here? This should be currency. There we go. All right, so now let's go ahead and copy and paste this, right? Whoopsie. And see how long it takes us to pay off that credit card debt. All right, and then we see that after setting it up, it takes about 30 months. All right, sweet. So now, okay, 30 months to pay off the credit card debt to set up the Airbnb because we are insane and spent an insane amount on the Airbnb. All right, so now let's go ahead and do this, and that's 119K, and that's 30 months. Yeah, 30 months. And then this is a car loan, student loan, personal mortgage, so that's going to be, what am I doing here? 30 months since all All of these are paid off, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. And actually, this is wrong. 1.7 at 6%. All right, so now we got 2 car loans. Let's go ahead and pay these off. And how much is this? This is, all right, G7, G8. Let's see. All right. So now those 2 car loans is 24882.86. 24882.86. So let's go ahead and copy and paste this right here. And then I'm going to do this, paste values. Okay. So now we're going to add this plus 24882.86. And then let's see what happens here. Again, it's 2 cars. So this is now 0, 0. And then now this is $5,000 of cash flow. All right, so let's go ahead and do this right here, and then do this right here. And then this is going to be 5295.96. And then we see that in 35 months, we paid it off, right? 35 months. And then we see, okay, so 30, wow, 5 months to pay off 2 cars? That's insane. Okay. Wow. So 119 plus 30 plus 17 is 166K. All right. So now let's tackle on this student mortgage. Actually, let's figure out what the loan balances are at 35 months. So this is 0, 0, 35, 35, 35. And then we'll move this 93 grand student loan into the line of credit. All right. So we're going to do this right here. And then do this right here. And again, this is just with one Airbnb. Right? So we went from 574 to 3,000, even with an additional mortgage. Isn't that crazy? Right? So plus 93166.22. And then that's our student loan. So this $1,000 is now extra in our cash flow. So it's $6,000 of cash flow. And let's see how long it takes to pay it off, which is 6689.26. And then I'm going to do this right here. And then I'm going to do this right here, blah, 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 blah. And then 50 months, the student loan is paid off. 50 months. All right. So 166 plus 120 and 286K. All right. So now 50 months has passed. And then 0, and then it's 50, 50. And then now let's go ahead and pay off this mortgage, right? 8%, 8.5% line of credit. Not a big deal, but I think we can move it. So let's go ahead and do this. And I'm going to move this Airbnb mortgage into the line of credit. Should you do that? I don't think I would actually do this in real life just because, like, this is what I've heard. Again, I'm not an accountant, that it's much easier to deduct a mortgage interest than from a line of credit because it's a little bit more restrictive with the line of credit. But let's get rid of this Airbnb mortgage, right? And then our cash flow is $8,000. Okay. So let's see how long it takes to pay off that mortgage with our $8,000 cash flow. So 8156.79. So that's 76 months to pay off the Airbnb mortgage. So that's not bad. 16 months to pay it off. That's like 1 year and 4 months. So that's crazy. So that's going to be 486K. Yeah, 486K. Oopsie. And then is this realistic? $1,500 a month? I don't feel like I spend that much, or do I? I don't know. Maybe I bought too much crap. Probably could. All right. Well, I don't know yet. But here's the thing. Last one here is the personal mortgage. And again, we have two choices. We could start another Airbnb after the first one has been completely paid off, or we could have probably started two or three when we're in our debt payoff journey. We didn't have to wait until that mortgage was completely pay off in month 76, right? But let's go ahead and pay off our mortgage here, right? To $200,000, 3% mortgage, 76 months, 76 months. And then now let's figure out 76 months what the balance of it is. So this is now 0, and then this is 76, right? And so what we're going to do is, because we got a 3% loan, we're going to chunk it, just small amounts. We don't want to expose the whole loan to the 8% line of credit. And let me go here. 171,312.9. 171,312.9. And then what is our expenses? What is our expenses? 3,500. Everything except for the loan. No, $4,000 is our expenses a month. $4,000. So 4,000. And then here, what's our income? It is, what's this? I don't even know. All right. So that is 13,000. 13,000. Okay, 13,000. And then let's see how long it takes for us to pay off that more. 1.7 years. Oh my goodness. All right. So that's 686K. 686K. And then that would be 76 divided by 12 plus 1.6. That's 7.93 years until we're completely debt free. And remember, this is two houses. Two houses, okay? Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Two houses. So now this is 0. And look at this. Now we're swimming in the ultimate cash flow with two houses, right? 9 grand. We're only renting out one of them. We got a regular job because, you know, we got to make law school worth it, $120,000, but just one Airbnb. Yeah, I didn't even believe it when I saw this. I was like, what? Yeah, I was really hoping that no one rent out the place, because I was just like, I hope Airbnb crashes so I can just enjoy my farmhouse. And then people started booking. People started booking. I was like, where do you all come from? Where did this money come from? Where did this 13 grand come from? I don't know. But make the cash flow. Lots and lots of cash flow, just swimming in it. Anyways, that's it for today, folks. This is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.